Hello, Durud and Shalom. We be live. Okay, guys, we got news that maybe President Trump paused scheduled military strikes against the Islamic Republic. It was supposed to happen on Friday and Saturday, and apparently it was supposed to go through. And then last minute, President Trump stopped it again. So this is what we're hearing. Even Times of Israel is even reporting that. I will go into, so it seemed like it was all ready for go, but then he stopped. So I'll go into more details about what just happened, but let's discuss all of this with our discussion group. Let's jump into our group call. So this is our discussion group. You guys could join our discussion group as well. The link is in the description. It's in the QR code at the top right. It's also in the link in the bio for Liberty Politics YouTube channel. But let's see. Okay, there's already 10 people here in our group call. How's my audio, by the way? Let me know in the chat. Okay, let's just jump in. There's already people here. Let's see what they're talking about.
I am a hardcore Republican.
Hey, Armin.
Oh,
Hey, Armin.
Hi.
I'm a hardcore Republican, Kathy, but at the same time, I love what you're doing, and it shouldn't be disrupted. Hi, Charmin Armin. Sorry,
Hey,
I wanted
Armin.
to finish my thought.
No worries. No worries. How are you guys? Everybody's doing?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
with Jeff. Sorry.
Love you too. I'm sorry it was tense yesterday. Everybody's just operating under, like I was telling other people, really high cognitive and emotional loads and time compression. And sometimes people get in people's lanes and start bumping heads.
Hey,
Don't worry. Uncle Jeff loves the shit out of you. Tickle me.
I
Hey,
love
Jeff,
you too.
I hope you can present today then.
Oh, I don't mind doing it. It was just,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, it's up to you guys.
Yes, put a one in the chat and present.
Okay, Kathy, but we're trying to let's get back. Let's get on the show. Okay, so who's modding today? Is anybody Neil Bunny? Is that okay for you to mod? Neil Bunny, she's not here. Okay, let's say Dajjal. Dajjal, are you interested in modding? Oh no, she's here. She's here. So Neil Bunny, okay. Do you have mic? So she's sure. She's not very eager. She's like, sure, if I have to, if you make me, I guess.
Let Dajal do it. Let Dajal have a chance at the steering wheel.
Okay, guys, I got this, Kathy and Sherry. You know, if you have suggestions for me, you could message me on school with your suggestions. This is like not an area to make suggestions, okay? But yeah, I mean, we will have Dajjal at some point. So guys, like, let's not make suggestions here in the middle of our group call. We'll do that. You can send me your suggestions. I'll always take them, take your suggestions. And Dajjal, I made Dajjal mod recently. I don't know if you guys know. Dajjal is a mod on our YouTube chat now, and he's doing amazing work. Thank you so much, Dajjal. And he's also extremely brutal and aggressive towards our spammers, which I love. I always watch him go at it. I don't know if you guys have seen him. It's beautiful. Like I'm like talking to Ali or Monkey, and in the corner of my eye, I see Dajjal just like attacking aggressively, calling out the commies and the Islamic terrorists in our chat, and it's just beautiful. So you guys sometimes should pay attention to it. Okay, Nilbani. So open your mic. I didn't hear Nilbani open her mic. Are you there? Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I just got home and I'm cooking dinner.
If you're cooking dinner, I'm
usually cooking dinner around this time, so it's no big deal. But yeah, it's just kind of loud here. That's why I don't have my mic on. Yeah. So I'll turn down all the noise in a second. But yeah, I find it surprised. I don't think anybody could possibly be as brutal as I am. But
okay.
maybe Dajjal.
Yes, maybe Dajjal. I mean, he is Dajjal. He did come from the deepest depths of hell. So I mean, what do you expect? Okay, so before we go to you guys, I do want to see. Okay, so here's something I want to get your opinions on. Some of you might disagree that this has happened, but it has. Times of Israel has reported this, and many other media outlets have reported this. Well, I actually don't know. Okay, maybe there's sources. I don't know if it has happened or not, but I'll just tell you what the news is, and then you guys tell me what you think. Okay, so apparently there were plans for major military escalations right about now, like Friday. Okay, so Friday and Saturday, and apparently they were going to go in, and then President Trump last minute changed his mind, right? So President Trump ordered the US military to stand down from a scheduled night of military strikes against the regime in Iran. The decision broke a 13-day night streak of continuous US military operations targeting Iranian defense and missile infrastructure. By the way, this might be, if I want to steel man it, I would say maybe this is preparation for something bigger, but apparently everybody's reporting that it was supposed to happen this Friday after the markets closed, and then last minute he changed his mind. So let me read this. Last minute reversal was executed to grant additional time for diplomatic negotiations to progress. So the speculation is that the Islamic Republic contacted President Trump and offered something that was impressive to President Trump. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying. And President Trump like, okay, let's see if we could do more negotiations. So U.S. forces in the Persian Gulf remain fully prepared to resume major operations on short notice if necessary. Regional partners and global markets continue to monitor developments regarding maritime passage through the Persian Gulf Coast. So let me give you the other side of this, okay? The other side of this, so this is what the Israelis think happened. They thought that tax was supposed to happen tonight, but last minute President Trump changed his mind. However, the Israelis are also saying that they think it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. Like, this is just going to delay it. And they are, one way or another, the attacks are coming. So that's the latest news, and I wonder what you guys think about it. So I'll see. We already have 2s in the chat, and we already have 1s in the chat as well. So fantastic.
Right. So the first is Jose.
Okay, yeah, I heard that too. And the thing that got my attention was the fact that the Qataris had already flown to Tehran and were already there, which makes them like a what you call it, like a bodyguard. Do not shoot. I'm here, and that could have been one of the reasons why. Now I heard that, and it did come from an Israeli source. I forget the station that I saw it on, but that could be what's going on. That they just got themselves some free shields, human shields, and that could be the stopper. Just saying. Don't know anything. Just one report, and I haven't heard anything else backing up that report either, Armin.
Okay. I appreciate the skepticism.
Next is Noah.
Noah?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it was my mic. I didn't know about the Qatari part of this, so thanks, Jose. But I'm a little bit disappointed. But at the same time, President Trump wouldn't have done this without a reason. Maybe it's to buy more time. Regardless, I hope it's only for the weekend. And then boom booms. But if not, yeah, I'm a little disappointed, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, if it's supposed to be, I mean, if they go back, they might go. We have to might need to wait another week until the markets close again. We'll see.
Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Next is Sherry.
I'm a huge Trump supporter. But that man changes his mind more than a fucking woman does. And it's driving me nuts.
Okay. All right. Is Shauna here? She's a Mormon.
Next is Jeff.
So it's true that there were open intelligence reports that outlined the Mullah regime remnants had sat there and placed its assets next to very sensitive civilian targets. So like they put their transport erector launchers right next to schools and all this other stuff, very much trying to turn any, you actually talked about it, you and Ollie and the rest, you actually mentioned that on the show. So when you see something like that, if you want to minimize collateral damage, you might have to change out the munitions. Part and parcel of that is if you have, so like the strike and vision, I'll go through that later on. We have more than enough munitions to carry out the mass strike that I outlined, right? If it's done, it's like $1.47 billion, 120 hours, the regime is dead. You're talking about almost 30,000 targets getting hit. So, right, it's like we have 250,000 GPS guided munitions. That said, they're not all stored ready to go. You have to actually assemble the kits and put them on the bombs, and that takes a minute to do. Well, if you have bad guys sit there and, geez, I need to shave. You know, like they pre-place their stuff next to civilian infrastructure or schools, right, which is what they did with the transport erector launcher, then you might have to change that out. We don't want to kill Iranian kids. So what do? We have munitions that allow us to do that. They're called inert munitions. So you still have the GPS guided munition. That said, you have to change out bombs that have explosives inside to bombs that just have concrete inside them. Basically, it turns into a very large, very heavy, very fast lawn dart that squashes whatever the hell it hits into a skateboard. Think of turning like Mullah regime remnants into the coyote from the Coyote Show right before he gets hit with a rock. Right? That takes a minute to change that out. It could be that too. It could be that they're changing some of how they're loading. You know, what's the payload of certain aircraft in response to the Mullah regime remnants response of trying to hug non-combatants as a way to leverage human shields and try to defend them from being obliterated.
So I'm going to go next and say that there is the possibility that there was just something that meant they couldn't go at that time and they just made something up. Just to maybe scare them or maybe think that, oh no, we could maybe deal with you, you know, play around with their minds like they have been doing for months.
So, okay. All right, who's next? I guess I'm next. So Nilbani and Abu Jeff both. So this is the reason that they give, which Abu Jeff and Nilbani are saying it's an excuse for a different reason. So the reason they're giving is this: they halted scheduled strikes because diplomatic negotiations mediated by Oman showed significant progress. The talks aimed to secure an agreement with the Iranian regime to protect commercial shipping routes in the Persian Gulf. Middle Eastern allies encouraged a pause on July 25th to explore a potential diplomatic breakthrough with the Islamic Republic. The decision allowed the administration to test if terms could be reached before escalating military actions further. U.S. forces in the Persian Gulf remain. Okay, so this is why the Israelis are saying we're still going to go back to military operations at some point, because they're saying that there's no chance that you're going to find if there's any terms that could be reached. So the Israelis are not optimistic. I mean, they are optimistic because they think that U.S. is not going to be able to find anything agreeable to them. Honestly, based on what has happened, I don't see what the Islamic Republic can give to the United States that would not crush them internally anyways. Like, here's a simple truth. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but in the same sense that President Trump and the United States can't allow the Islamic Republic to just interfere with the Strait of Hormuz. I don't want to say block because they never fully block it. But in the same sense, the Islamic Republic is in a position that cannot let go of it for as long as they exist. Like that's not an option for them. Which means like we're going to keep doing this until regime change. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but there's no other way out of this. Like this is a red line that both sides are not going to be able to cross. The United States cannot give up the Strait of Hormuz to the Islamic Republic, and the Islamic Republic cannot give it up. So we're just going to keep doing this until the regime falls, for as long as it takes. All right. Who's next?
Well, I was going to write my own name down, but I mean, I think that that's just more proof that it's just BS. Because what could possibly have happened where, it looked like there was going to be some kind of progress? It's completely a stalemate. There's not going to be no progress for the reason you just said. It's impossible. It is completely not going anywhere. So I think that it's just an excuse to just twist, mess with their heads, mess with their supporters' heads, it works, and how pissed off will they be? Like, who's talking to them? And then they fight with each other. And meanwhile, it was just because of like something to do with the weather where they couldn't go. It could be something just as simple as that.
The most pessimistic, so that was the optimistic take. The most pessimistic take is, if I was Ghalibaf, I would call President Trump right now and be like, hey, guess what? We're going to do exactly what you said. And we're going to do it. Okay? We're not going to talk about it. You're going to see it happen. And don't trust us until it happens. Okay? So this is not one of those cases where I tell you something and then something different happens. Okay? It's going to happen, and just trust us once it happens, only after it happens. We're going to get the president of the Islamic Republic come on TV and say that, yep, we lost. We're going to give up the Strait of Hormuz. Ooh, the president, right? Like, just like you're the president. That's a big deal, right? And then pessimistic take, Trump is like, ooh, the president. Okay, that's a big deal. Let's do that. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but that's the worst case scenario.
I think that they know that the president is nothing. He is nobody and nothing and has no influence. They know more about the Islamic Republic than most people, and that is truly obvious to me. I'm just gonna go off on a bit of a tangent here. I was in Cologne. That's where there's the video and stuff that I sent you. I don't know if you understood that, Armin, but I was in Cologne and I saw the Iranians were demonstrating and chanting and, like they do. And it's like, you guys are everywhere. And then the friend that I was with, he didn't understand it. And then I was explaining it to him over dinner. And the thing about it was that I was saying, because he was like, well, the Trump administration, it's like they messed up. And I'm like, no. They understand what they're doing. They seem to understand them better than most people on earth. And I think that they know they're messing with them. So if it's Reza Pahlavi who told him this stuff, if it's his team that's guiding them, if it's Marco Rubio talking to them, and if it was all collectively, if it was Lindsey Graham or all of these people, they are informed. I believe they are very informed on this regime. and they know exactly how to mess with them because they've been doing a great job messing with them for months. So if they said something about the president, they'd be just laughing at that. Oh, yeah, that sounds amazing. It's just, we know he's useless. So I think it's there's something happening. Maybe they couldn't go in for just a technical reason at that moment, and then they thought, hey, let's just use this to just mess with them more. I know it's positive, glasses half full kind of take, but I am that type of person. So maybe I'm just delusional. I don't know.
No. You're on point. I'm just putting things out there. Can you respond to this as well? So how do you? Let's say, no. I mean, I completely agree with you. I make these points so that I could hear your responses. How do you respond to this? What if somebody says, like, yeah, of course they know, but they also know that the average American doesn't know, and the average American will think that the president of the Islamic Republic is obviously a big deal within the Islamic Republic. So as long as we show the American public that the president has accepted defeat, that's enough for the midterms, for us to be able to demonstrate that we have won. What about that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, the purpose of the president and all the, their team and everything, talking to these people and being seen to be talking to them, it makes it look like they're reasonable. Like they're doing everything they can to avoid war. So people want to see that in America, the ones who don't know anything about the regime are just not informed. They want to see diplomacy being given a chance. Now, I know none of us want that, but we know more about the Islamic regime than most people, and definitely more than just your average American, who's just wondering about gas prices. Okay, so they want to see some kind. People like diplomacy. Look, people like the idea of the UN, and most people don't know that the UN is messed up. They still think that the UN is really great. People like those things. So when they talk to the president, they're like, oh, look, they are trying to avoid war, right? But so it's good for the American side. It messes with the regime, and it's probably just because of some technical issue where they couldn't go immediately. So I think that it's probably a win-win-win all over the place. And
so.
Sherry's.
And a lot of people on the YouTube chat are agreeing with you, by the way. And you said Sherry's next?
Yes.
I think Nail Bunny actually just nailed most everything I was going to say, because I'm confused about the fact that, okay, well, the president of the RGC or the president of Iran is going to agree with this. So I kind of get that. I totally get that. I'm not, but at this time, I don't know. At this time of point, I think all of us know that's a effing joke. But I do understand, I think, the points you're making. I'm still confused on how that works out in the long run. But yeah, I appreciate, I think I'm online with Nail Bunny a lot. I'm still a little confused, but, I'll hang out and learn.
Nail Bunny needs her own YouTube channel. And if she doesn't start one, I'm just going to make one for her and just hand it over to her. I'm going to make a YouTube channel for her. I'm going to make an avatar for her. I'm going to basically do all the technical stuff for her so that she gets just show up and, just record, make all of them. Because I don't know. I've been waiting for a long time for this to happen. So if she doesn't do it, I'm just going to make it for her.
Well, I did try to make an avatar, and I accidentally made the opening to a children's book somehow.
Can I do it for you? Can I try to figure this out and do it for you?
Yeah, sure, go for it. Here, you can use the thing I sent you, but right now it just looks like the beginning of a children's book.
Okay, but if I do it, you will follow through, because I don't want to build the whole thing and then not see you not pick it up. Will you pick it up?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, good. Okay.
I hate you, Nail Bunny. I hate you. You stole my thunder. You did a great job.
All right. Okay. Who's next?
Actually, there are no replies to this. So I suppose you could go to the
Oh.
super chat.
When you were speaking, oh no, that was okay. Sorry, never mind. That was
I got
Sherry.
Sherry while I was talking.
Yeah,
Unless, of
no,
course, froze on. I don't know.
No,
Okay.
Sherry and Noha kind of have like flags, so I sometimes get confused. So I would like, who's Sherry? Like Sherry and Noha. So, but yeah, we got 3 super chats. First one is from, we got 4. Fleshy Interloper saying, "Greetings, Iran watchers. The options left are few." Yeah, I mean, very few. One is considered few, right? The options left is 1, which is regime change. So I agree with that. That is few. And thank you, Fleshy Interloper, for the super chat. Bobo is in with the super chat saying Times of Israel is biased to the left. Well, I mean, that news was reported in like, again, I'm not saying it's true, but I'm not just relying on one source. Like, that's being reported like almost everywhere. But yes, I mean, I'm not saying it happened, but we should take it seriously when it's reported this heavily. Ehef, thank you so much for the super chat saying the pause could be to operate or develop something that could get through pickaxe and the centrifuge. And new info may have forced a tactic or weapon change. Yeah, I mean, that's what Amu Jeff and Nail Bunny were saying. They were saying probably they need more time for whatever reason, and this is just an excuse. True. Like, for example, I think, the ceasefire that came after the negotiation with Pakistan, I think that was necessary for many different reasons, that we heard already here in our previous group calls. Amu Jeff had a lot of great explanations regarding the munitions shortages, which is, he explained to us, is because of Biden, all the mistakes that they made. So I think the idea, like, even like you guys are completely correct, like Nail Bunny and Amu Jeff, like, because it wasn't about Pakistan, we stopped because Pakistan just did this. Like, it wasn't because of that. It was because of the stuff that it was explained to us here in our group calls. Thank you, Ahef, for the super chat. And Noah, the Persian American, with a super chat saying, "I feel weird showing my face without a mask." Wow, okay. You look good though, so it's good. So yes, good. You look great. Thank you. All right. Yeah, great to finally see you, by the way. I should have said that. I didn't want to bring too much attention to it, but now you did. I didn't know if you would be comfortable.
I did it earlier. So yeah.
Okay. So, do we have another topic? Oh.
Yeah, it's actually Noah's topic.
Okay, before we get to Noah, we just got one more super chat. This is fun. Nollybuck just gave us a super chat saying, "For Nail Bunny's Avatar Fund." Okay, thank you. I'm gonna use that on the tokens that I'm gonna be using on Claude Codex to figure out how I could make a YouTube avatar. So that's what that's gonna go to. So thank you so much, Nollybuck. I appreciate that. Thank you. See, we're already making progress. All right, Noah.
So this article comes from the Daily Telegraph via Iran International. I am sending it to you. And it says that the Islamic Republic used migrant smuggling routes going into the UK to smuggle covert operatives into the country. The report centered on Unit 700, which is a logistical and smuggling arm of the IRGC. And the report states that Britain was chosen because of its support for the U.S. For Britain's support for the U.S. military that made it a target. The official
the Iranian anonymous officials stated that they don't have to use a missile to strike London because they had operatives. And they're waiting for us to tell them what to do. So pretty much sleeper agents. Another official stated that they could even target 10 Downing Street, which is the Prime Minister's residence. But there was also skepticism about the report from a former cabinet office minister that stated whether it was, valid or not, I think. So I figured you'd be interested in this, Armin, and I wanted your take and everyone's take on this. So thank you.
All right, so let me check the summary. So I'll read the summary. I just want to make sure I understand everything that's happening. The Iranian regime is actively using illegal migrant smuggling routes to infiltrate intelligence agents into Britain. The operation is led by Unit 700, a covert logistic wing of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC basically. Human traffickers confirmed on July 25th that the Islamic Republic maintains operational control over several entry pipelines. Officials from the regime in Iran issued explicit warnings against British cooperation with Western Defense Forces on July 25th. This development represents a critical escalation in state-sponsored security threats facing the United Kingdom. So, Noah, do you think this is in response to the UK taking a more aggressive action, a position against the Islamic Republic? Is this something that, or is this something older that started from before?
I think it might be older from this. I mean, they would have had to have started this years ago from the sounds of it. So I don't think it's recent. Having said that, Britain didn't get more aligned with the US until Andy Burnham became prime minister. I mean, even Keir Starmer was kind of hesitant at first to allow US to use bases, especially Diego Garcia. So I think this started probably years ago, I would say, but who knows?
Let me see. So the IRGC Unit 700 smuggling network relies on infrastructure built over many years. So you were completely correct. The active targeting of London is a direct. Okay, so the network existed over years, but the active targeting of London is a direct retaliation against UK defense policy. So the network existed many years, but this new thing that they're doing, the Iranian regime escalated threat messaging following Britain's July 13th security crackdown. Yes, so the leveraging migrant routes offered the Islamic Republic high disruption at low operational cost. So the infrastructure exists, but they're utilizing it now against, and this is probably why UK was kind of hesitant in getting involved, because they probably knew that these networks exist and they didn't want to deal with it. This is probably why. And this is, by the way, this is another reason. This is why there's so many consequences to allowing mass migration and having networks of refugees or illegal migrants being able to have that. When you open your borders to that degree, these networks become more and more sophisticated, and then your entire national security is being taken hostage, and the policies that you have to, the decisions that you have to make, it could not just be based on what puts your country internationally in the most advantageous position from a geopolitical and military perspective. Then you're forced to also take into account the invasion, the internal infiltration of these people within your country, and you always have to take that into calculation as well. Which is basically, this is another reason why your country, like, calling this as an invasion is not an exaggeration. but I think I see some twos. Yeah.
Yeah, Jose is after me. So I don't know if everyone knows this, but the IRGC was designated a terrorist group in the UK, right? So that was actually Keir Starmer. So, good on him. But I actually think that if you think that this is going back a bit of a ways in time, it may be, I actually think a hell of a lot was discovered when they stormed and basically swatted the Blue Mosque of Hamburg. I mean, they surrounded the Blue Mosque, and so that they wouldn't get out with, be able to shred anything or get any information out. So they got in there. And I actually think that whatever Keir Starmer was doing, I've always thought this is that the way his inaction and his fear, it was based on some kind of evidence, something very, very dangerous. And I've always thought it has something to do with the Blue Mosque, because they had to have found this out. All of their operations in Europe were coming from the Blue Mosque. So, it may have been this, the migrant smuggling routes, placing people in Britain. I mean, they would know about it, wouldn't they? It would have been directed from there, I would expect. So I've always thought that they pretty much there was something being trained at, Keir Starmer's head, or his wife, who is Jewish. So yeah, I believe it.
Can I just quickly say that you're 100% correct? This was, by the way, in when was this? July 2024, right? So the intelligence that came out of that. So for people who don't know, there was a raid on the Blue Mosque, which was the center of the Islamic Republic's operations in all of Europe, and that was basically the central hub for the Islamic Republic's regime's European, basically, intelligence operations, right? And there was so much data that was recovered during the raid, and there's so much vital clues that helped European agencies, including British intelligence agencies, that revealed how their network of operations works across the borders in Europe. So I think you're 100% correct about that. Yeah. Well, who's next?
Jose?
Yeah, I did not know about the Blue Mosque, but I do believe, Armin, that you are correct. They've been probably planning this for years. Some sort of action. I mean, why else would you send so many military age men instead of families to invade Europe? And then from France into England. So it just makes perfect sense. Now the question becomes, can they do anything? Are these operatives in a position to do something? If they can go out in the street and terrorize the people on the street, but I think if they're not learning anything from what happened in Ireland yesterday, where Ireland stopped a planned march by Islamists in Dublin, I believe, literally met them one for one on the street, men, women, and children, and told them not in our country. So things are happening, and we'll see what happens with this. I'm concerned about the thing, if they attack a sitting prime minister, that is an act of war against NATO. And no one's mentioned that fact. And I would love to hear Jeffrey's comment on this, because even Spain would have to shut their fucking mouth. They won't be able to say block. Turkey wouldn't be able to say shit either. Because an attack on one head of state means that the guy in charge of Turkey and the guy in charge of Spain are legitimate targets. as well.
Legitimate targets by who? Oops, sorry.
Oh, maybe he was asking you. So yeah, maybe if Sherry doesn't mind, maybe Jeff goes first.
I'll let Sherry go first. I can answer after her.
No. Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, I think that it kind of illustrates again where we're at. You know, I don't know if the level of receptivity of members of different member states, including those that are ostensibly still our NATO allies, is not ubiquitous amongst all actors. Tragically. I would think that they would view it the way you said, Jose. I'd like to think. Am I confident? As shitty as that is to say.
All right, Sherry.
I might sound very naive on this, but what the hell? Why is it that the IRGC has the ability to come up with $10 million to do these threats and do what they're doing? I don't understand how they're able to even do it. And we have so many other ridiculous countries willing to help fund these people. But I also believe that this has been going on for a long time. You know, now that it's being announced, well, isn't that nice? But I think it's been underground and being done for a long damn time, where you have so much dark people, anti-American people, whether they be the RGC or Soros or whatever, you know, they're offering so much money for hits on people they just I don't know, they disagree with or whatever. I just don't understand how they keep having the money. Can't we choke off their fucking money so they can't do this shit?
That's actually a good question. They have a lot of money because the thing that needs to be stopped is they need to stop making them able to move it around, right? So $10 million is pocket change compared to the billions of the money that they make in from oil and gas, right? So this is like not a lot of money. But what needs to be done a lot more is to basically keep freezing their assets as they try to move it from one hand to another. I think Amu Jeff knows a lot more about this. And I also, nobody, is there other twos? Because I saw Amu Jeff put a 2 in the chat. So maybe,
Jeff put a 2.
okay.
So Operation Sovereign Tide is very much is a supplemental line of effort of a couple of different lines of effort to to eliminate the regime. I mean, it means you just have guys go out and just grab the entire Dark Sea fleet. You drain Karg Island. So not only are you denying that, the Mullah regime, financial resources via illicit oil sales, you're also giving that to good guys. And it also lowers our gas prices and insulates shocks and all that. As far as the money that's frozen assets, this was actually asked in in the Q&As of the lecture series I do. So there's like 150-ish billion dollars in frozen assets. The United States only directly controls $2 billion. And we should definitely use it. You know who controls the lion's share? The Chinese Communist Party. So if you ever do a breakdown, if you want to have like Claude do a breakdown of the nations that hold or have control over the frozen assets of the Mullah regime, or Iran vis-a-vis occupying, because it's occupied by the Mullah regime, you'll see where it kind of shakes out. So, I mean, that's an issue. I mean, the Chi-Coms are actively helping the regime remnants. They help them with targeting. You know, they're getting ready to hit Taiwan. Actually, China Uncensored and Chris Chappell outlined that 2 days ago, in conjunction with things going on in the Persian Gulf. That also applies to leveraging economic constraints, sanctions, and the rest of it against the regime, all of which we should do. And Bessett is doing an amazing job. Like, he is fucking amazing. Holy shit. I'm just saying, understand that it's not a silver bullet, and it's not even the largest pellet in silver buckshot, although you should still have it in silver buckshot. That's some of the issues that are, that are there.
I don't have any more replies, so we can go to Jose's topic.
Okay. What is his topic? Jose, you could tell us.
Yeah, it's the IRGC is offering 10 million a head for each member of the Trump cabinet, an extra 10 million for Trump himself, to the cartels in Mexico.
Oh wow.
And this is old news, but it just got repeated by two different Spanish language Twitter accounts that I've been following, and they've been pretty accurate as far as South America is concerned. So actually, you brought it up, Armin, on your show with Monkey, when you brought up the hit list of the American and Netanyahu and everybody else in the Far East, in the Middle East, that they had done to combat the bingo card that we've been seeing about them. So, yeah, that's when it first came up, but it's now being reported as something actively being done, which is kind of strange because they are correct. There are those cartels members in the United States. Okay. But I would imagine right now, ever since ICE has been on a tear, that they're being looked at and will have a problem getting anywhere. But we have no idea what these guys are capable of, other than the fact that some of them were trained by U.S. military a long time ago, which makes them dangerous. And I wanted to bring back to everyone's attention, or bring that back up, because I know we originally saw that the IRGC bingo sheet about 2 weeks ago, and it's back, babies. It's back.
But let me actually thank you so much for bringing this to our attention again. This is so important. Let me I had this. Okay, here. Let me Jose, I will read this to you and you tell me if it's accurate or not. Okay. So the Islamic Republic, this part we all know, has repeatedly attempted to contract Mexican cartels and criminal networks to perform assassination. This is the history of it. So we had October 11th, 2011 plot. That was the IRGC offered 1.5 million to hire a supposed Los Zetas operative for a Washington D.C. bombing. Then we had a recent law enforcement actions on November 8, 2024 and March 6, 2026 show the Iranian regime continuing to employ criminal hitmen inside the U.S. And then in February 2026, the U.S. Department of State posted $10 million reward offers for major cartel plaza bosses amidst heightened monitoring of narco-terror links with the Islamic Republic. And then we have operational networks connected to the regime span from the Persian Gulf into Latin America to bypass international security detection. And they usually get paid with crypto, if my understanding is correct in that or not. But and now recently we have new recent developments that shows that the Islamic Republic is using these networks that it has in Mexico and other places in South America to deliver on the promise of revenge for Ali Khamenei some way in United States, including the assassination of President Trump. Is that correct? Is that summary of that accurate?
That sounds like the bulk of what I was listening to, but they were more talking about the bingo card in this article. Like I said, it could have been old news that they're just bringing it to attention to the people of South America. But we do know that there were IRGC people in Venezuela and in Cuba. So I would not be surprised if they were in Colombia. If they're not in Nicaragua, which has turned very, very dangerously to the left. And yeah, they're probably in Mexico too. So it's one of those things where, to me, it became more of a threat when I saw it on these two Spanish people. One of them is a announcer, a Cuban language announcer on Radio Marti, which broadcasts to Cuba directly news and news all over the world, including the situation in Iran, by the way, guys. So yeah, someone that I actually listen to daily and not 100% trust, but his news has not failed yet. He's been right every single time. So I got nervous when I heard that this morning, and then he posted it on X, and I almost posted it to our group here up front, but I decided to hold off and bring it up as a topic instead. And Jeff explained how the money can get there real easy. Because the Chinese have been kicked out of Central America for the most part, but they're still there. They're still in Cuba, so they're still around.
First response is Nets.
Hi, can you all hear me? I think we used to take things like this a lot more seriously than we do now. So one of the things this reminds me of is the Zimmermann telegram. So one of the causes of World War I was the Zimmermann telegram, which was a telegram sent by a German diplomat to Mexico, asking them to please attack us so as to distract us from paying attention to what was going on in Europe. And of course, Mexico didn't do anything, and it really didn't amount to anything. But we kind of got hold of this telegram somehow, and we were really mad. And this was kind of officially listed as one of the causes that got us into World War I. And now I keep hearing the Iranians are doing this, the Houthis are doing that, and it feels like we don't have any initiative at all. And I'm just wondering what it would take for us to get serious.
So you're I mean, I have a question. So wouldn't it, whatever initiatives they have against this, wouldn't it be top secret? So that's why we don't know about them.
Oh, but I think we do know about them, right? If the people on this call know about them, then I'm sure the US government knows.
No, we don't know about what the US government is doing.
We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess so, but I also read lots of leaks. And so a couple of days ago, I was quite sure that something would be happening now.
Hmm.
And today's news seems to be that we're pursuing a diplomatic angle whereby Oman and Iran are negotiating about opening the strait, and so we're suddenly not doing anything. So I kind of feel like we're letting them have all the initiative.
So when you were in here, Nilbani and Amujef were suggesting that, you know, what we hear when we hear the Americans talking with the Islamic Republic through the Qataris and Omanis is not because they're necessarily are being convinced by the Islamic Republic to get more time. It's because the United States actually needs more time. And they're just using that as an excuse. The United States is not going to come out and publicly say, like, oh, yeah, we actually need more time for our military operations. They're going to be like, well, the Qataris contacted us and there seems to be something more interesting. So we're going to try that, right? So the Israelis, I don't, did you hear about this? That apparently there was an attack planned for this Friday, right? Like basically now, right? And it was canceled, they say, because the Qataris contacted was it the Qataris or Omanis? I forgot. But they contacted Trump and they said that, okay, here's a new deal. And President Trump said, like, okay, let's try this, right? But the Israelis were expecting an attack today, and now they're saying that they don't think that this is going to go anywhere, and we're going to go back to military operations at some point. But it's hard to believe that the Americans don't know that either, right? The Americans probably know that. Like, if the Israelis know that, the Americans probably know that. so you're muted. Right?
I mean, I think the Americans habitually are behaving like idiots. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not that I don't want things to work. I do.
Yes.
But every time I hear a story like this, it just, it makes the Americans look bad. And I think in the end, they have to actually do something.
Yeah, I mean,
in order to
don't you think they are going to do something at some point anyways? Because it's not going to go anywhere and you cannot just keep doing this forever. Like, they're going to do something at some point. And I mean, and also doing things doesn't just happen. It's not like a easy button on your desk that you just press and then things blow up, right? You need to prepare things. You need time. You need to move things around.
For sure, absolutely, 100%. I don't need them to tell me what they're going to do. That's not what I want. What I want is for them to be sort of consistent that, we're kind of done with the Islamic Republic and we're going to overthrow them. And I don't need to know how or when. I just need for there to be sort of consistency about that. If half the time you're telling people that it's better to have a deal and there should be a deal and it's just the Islamic Republic wasn't ready, but maybe they'll be ready later, you're not doing the right thing. You're not sending the right message.
So let me try to play devil's advocate here, and you tell me what you think. Okay, you're saying that I need to know things. Okay, but if you know things, then they know things, right? So maybe you don't need to know things. Okay, like I want to know things. Well, no, because wait. Let me just. And so you also say I want consistency. If you get consistency, then you get predictability. You don't want to be consistent because you want to be unpredictable, and you don't want to communicate what you're doing because if you're communicating what you're doing, then they don't as well.
I'm sorry. I think maybe I said the wrong thing or I was misunderstood. I said I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know what the U.S. is going to do. I want them to be I want the U.S. to be operationally unpredictable. But I think the goals of the U.S. Should not be unpredictable. I mean, the ultimate goals.
So if the ultimate
And
goal,
and when you're acting as if half the time the Islamic Republic is a legitimate partner for negotiations, I think that's sending the wrong message.
okay, so here's the thing. First of all, you can't have unpredictability and consistency at the same time. If you want unpredictability, you can't be consistent, right? Also, when it comes to the goal, you cannot communicate your ultimate goal to your enemy, right? Because if you're communicating transparently your ultimate goal to your enemy, then your enemy is going to prepare accordingly. Don't you agree? Like, think about it. If I tell the regime, like, let's say, for example, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but let's say, for example, you were in charge, okay? And then you want to get rid of the Islamic Republic completely, right? And then you need preparation. You need to put things together. You need to move things around, okay? And you're not ready to do the thing that you need to do. Are you going to come to the regime and say publicly tell the world, they're like, you know what, we're not ready to attack you yet, but once we're ready, we're going to completely destroy you? Like, you're not going to do that, right? Like, the only reason why we're not attacking you right now is because we haven't put things together. Like, are you going to communicate that with the Islamic Republic, and also communicate to them that your end goal is to completely annihilate them?
I am not going to talk so much, but I am not going to engage in any negotiations. And I am not going to explain to them what I'm doing. And if that tells them that they should prepare, so be it. But I probably have lots of options about what exactly to do. And I will be preparing and reviewing my menus of options. But I am not going to pretend that I'm about to surrender. And I don't find that pretending that is really a benefit.
What if, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not even saying this is the case or not. What if your intelligence agencies come and tell you, if you make them feel like there's a chance for a deal, we can keep them, we could hold them down a little bit while we get ready?
I don't think it's good. I think one is discouraging one's allies. I don't think that I'm like the only person who's worried that
But
we're I mean the MOU was the same thing, right? That there was this MOU, it was signed to vast acclaim or whatever, and you know, it fell apart. And you can say that it was planned to fall apart, and I have no way of reading minds and knowing whether that's true or not. But it didn't look good. It really actually discouraged and hurt allies, and I don't think it was a good idea.
I mean, the MOU didn't look good at the time. It looks good right now. It bought Americans time. It didn't get the, like, look at the problems we had with the MOU. Like, oh, $24 billion in frozen assets. What happened? Never got released. $300 billion in investment. What happened? It never got invested. We said, like, oh, the U.S. blockade removal is going to give them oil. The sanction favors is going to give them, oil money. They were supposed to get corn and hay for their oil. None of that got released. The Americans are holding all of that now. So they basically, all of the things that the Islamic Republic was supposed to get out of the MOU, none of that happens. And the United States got what they needed out of the MOU, which was an immediate release of all the ships behind the Strait of Hormuz, flooding the market again with oil, and buying time for the Americans to recover, restock munitions, and relieve the markets a little bit. So it got everything that the Americans wanted, and it got nothing for the Islamic Republic. So it was a success for the Americans.
Okay, well, here's what I'm afraid of. I'm sorry. But what I'm afraid is that we will keep having these delays, and in 2.5 years, we will have a DSA-controlled United States, and the Islamic regime will still be in power. And if that doesn't happen, then great. I mean, all power to you. I'm really happy if it turns out well. But uh, but when we kind of repeatedly behave like this, that is sending me a warning signal that things are not going to go well. That's so I
I'm
don't
not gonna.
know. And
So
I'll
I
shut
could
up
keep going
now.
this.
But
No, you. This is great. I want to come back. I'm going to respond to that, but I feel like I'm holding everyone else because other people have opinions. But I just want to say,
understood.
guys. But even guys, Nitz is on our side because he's like. I hope people appreciate that, right? So like, just because like some people disagree with his evaluation of what's going on, at the end of the day, he's pro-Israel, pro-United States, anti-Islamic Republic, wants the Islamic Republic to be gone. So I hope that at least in our community, we appreciate, we don't push away people who might not agree with the strategy, but have the same goals as us. Like sometimes we get so upset hearing people not agreeing with the current strategy that we push them away. And I hope we recognize that when somebody is pro-America, pro-Israel, pro our forces, our armed forces, anti, Islamic rule, anti-communism, that we don't let that divide us just because we disagree on the strategy sometimes, right? All right. Bunny?
Next is Noah.
So that's those are all valid points, and I do appreciate you. Going back to the original, there's a reason President Trump said that he is on the head of every hit list is because of taking out Ali Khamenei and other things. Having said all that, I can't see trying to make a deal with the cartels just to take him out being successful, because that would put too much pressure on the cartels and it's too high of a risk. So I can't see that happening. However, there are groups that would do this, but also the FBI, the CIA, and a lot of North American agencies have eyes on them. So there's also that. So yeah.
Next is Jeff. Jeff. Maybe Jeff's
Jeff?
away.
Okay, maybe we could go to the next and then come back to Jeff.
Yeah. So next is Siddhartha. Great name.
I'm sorry, I had to go and answer the call of nature.
Oh, okay. It's okay.
I don't know how else to say that.
We forgive you. We forgive you.
Thank you. So, with the Jose brought up a very good point. There is indeed operational ties between the Mullah regime's proxies, whether it's Hezbollah or any other number of Islamic fundamentalist terrorists and or narco terrorists south of the border. A lot of those different actors, right, whether it's Islamic fundamentalist terrorists and or transnational organized crime syndicates, of which human traffickers are part of, have skill sets the other group likes, right? Organized crime uses violence for money. Terrorists uses money or profit for violence. So they kind of learn from each other. And actually had a lot of overlap. We actually started pushing for that, trying to incorporate that observation in a lot of our operational doctrine in the beginning parts of GWAT. I also understand the frustration you feel, Nets. There's no doubt about it. There's also reasons why Armin says what he says, right? So this is the juggling act you have to do just from the strategic signaling perspective, which is a very important part of overall of geopolitics, right? You have like, we live in a representative republic in an open and free society, so we have an inherent disadvantage at strategic deception and denial, right? So how do you leverage, how do you act in a manner that offsets that disadvantage, right? So strategic, like the crazy president strategy, right, which is very much what Donald's approach is. It's his own version of it, clearly, to make him unpredictable. It's not because he doesn't have a vision in his head. He does. It's not that he doesn't have insight. He does. He just has to act in a manner that makes it hard for other exogenous, like external actors, to be able to accurately calculate that. Now, on the flip side of that, that also, just to your point, very much frustrates the living hell out of your allies because they can't coordinate. They don't know what the fuck you're going to do. So, yeah, there's definitely that as well. If it were up to me, and everybody knows where I sit, I would go with a mass, like a lot of people, including me, in the camp that I am in, very much would have a mass air campaign against the Mullah regime. And if they did what I outlined, the regime would be dead in 120 hours. Like, they'd be dead. Dead. There are other things going on in the world. We still have to keep that in mind. You don't know what we're doing behind the scenes either. There's that issue too. I mean, so there's something to be said about what Armin said. I just wanted to outline that these aren't mutually exclusive positions. They are different indexes in a broader calculation that any actor, any leader or actor has to juggle. And the frustration and tension you see from them, you're seeing being played out right in this show. It's actually one of the main utilities of this show. So people understand those nuances. Even if you don't get a positive answer, at least you understand the broader, the calculations you'd use to how to think about it. It's a really good question.
Next is Sherry.
I just wanted to respond very quickly to Nets. First of all, I'm so thankful to have you here. I really honestly am thankful to have you here. A few days ago, you were worried about sharing your views and being attacked. And I appreciate the fact that I'm finding you. I'm watching you gain your ground and be more confident. And thank you, Armin, for encouraging him in that. I also wanted to respond to the fact that he had said that, Americans are idiots. And I get what you're saying. Americans aren't idiots. But when you see what's going on in media and on the YouTube, etc., what they are, that's their goal, is to make us look like idiots. Quick example. I lived in Mississippi over 2 decades ago, and there was some kind of shooting that had taken place, and the media rushed out there, and they got this redneck Mississippi boy standing next to his red truck, and he said, "My truck was injured by a shotgun and a bullet hole," and yeah, does that look ridiculous? It absolutely does ridiculous when you get a redneck standing as their truck going, my truck was injured. But you're listening to the West Coast, you're listening to the East Coast, you're listening to the media, and they will absolutely hawk on anything and everything they can possibly find that makes Americans look like idiots. But in the Midwest, not in the big cities, but in the Midwest, we are not actual idiots. It's just we don't get represented in a good way. So I just want to encourage you that no, we're really not idiots. It's just that's the way we are portrayed. And we're portrayed in such an evil and terrible way. I mean, having FIFA here, the soccer, the World Cup here in America was a beautiful example of that, where you saw Europeans, you saw so many other people come here and said, "Oh my God, we're so sorry. We didn't know you're portrayed this way, but that's not really who we are." And so, Nats, I just want to encourage you to broaden that point of view a little bit. I understand why you think that. We've all been taught that. But, I appreciate you not being afraid of being called names and this, that, and everything. And I appreciate Armin's support of you. So keep coming back, keep sharing what you got to share. That's what we're here for.
To be Sherry, I mean, I might be misrepresenting him, but I don't think he thinks Americans are idiots. I think he's worried that what the administration is doing is making the U.S. policy look like idiots. I think. Is that right, Nets? Yes. Okay, you got a thumbs up. But yeah, but I agree with what you said, Sherry. All right, who's next?
Next is Monkey.
Yeah, back to you, Nets. You were outlining some of the reasons you don't want a deal, and talking about a deal is a problem. I understand your points. I understand those points. My point, the problem is the deal. With the deal is once it comes out of the president's mouth, it's not the same as rumors of the deal or other people talking about a deal or we're going to do something. Once it comes out of the president's mouth, it's accountable to the people. That's the problem. We are a representative, a constitutional republic, right? So this is just the facts of the matter. Once you get it out there, you're on the hook for it, right? So what's the problem? My biggest problem is not that it's a lie, not that it's subterfuge. My problem with the deal is that the IRGC might accept every condition and follow it. That's my problem with the deal. That if you say, oh, it's just a trick because we know they're going to attack, and they stop attacking and they let the inspectors in and they let you take the dust and they follow every condition and they crack down on whoever has a problem with it, they might create 100 Wuhans and we can't do anything about it because they stuck by the deal. I know some people are going to interject and say, oh, but that won't happen. You're not engaging with the question. You're skipping over the question to say that won't happen. I'm not asking. That's not going to happen. My question is, what if that happens? If you can't address that direct question, what if they accept the deal, clamp down successfully on the people, whether you believe it or not? If you don't believe it, you don't have to believe it, but engage honestly with the concept. And if you can engage honestly with the concept, you would understand why people without your depth of knowledge or whatever leads you to believe it's impossible are going to think this is a fucking problem. Because I don't want 1,000 Wuhans to be secretively done as easily as the first Wuhan was done. And as, I don't know, pop-up labs are being spun up in California because we put out that, oh, it was for time. Don't worry, they won't accept it. Bam, they do accept it. They let the inspectors in because they don't give a fuck. They're going to make 1,000 Wuhans. They let you take the dust because they don't give a fuck. They're going to make 1,000 Wuhans. They let you come and inspect all you want. Follow your little Geiger meter. Your little Geiger meter isn't going to lead to my biolab. And then you accepted the deal. And you say you're victorious. You say you got rid of the problem. But the problem was always the IRGC being in power. That's why I don't like the deal. My fear is not that we're gonna get rodeoed again and fall off the fucking bull again and have to get back on it. That's not my fear. My fear is that they accept it. And you know, a lot of people, oh, that's impossible. Okay, you're not engaging with the theoretical here. Like if I can accept that it could be an absolute problem for them to accept a deal and it could lead to chaos on the inside, you should be able to engage with my perspective and say, you know what, there is a possibility that they just say we're going to shoot the sad penguins, we're going to shoot anybody that's against the deal. We got the guns, and we put the guns in the hands of the people that don't give a damn about religion. They see a new vision. The prophet has revealed that it wasn't nuclear. The prophet has revealed that it was going to be a biological weapon. And that's the crux of the matter. That's why the deal is a problem to me. And I'm
Great
just
point.
I saw you saying yes, so maybe I helped your point.
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you, Monkey.
Right, and as I said, I'm drawing a line under this topic because we are completely off it anyway. So do you want to do the super chats?
Yes, we got two super chats. One is from Sherry saying, "If I had a duplicate hat, I would send it to you." Oh, thank you, Sherry. Guys, did you guys see Sherry's hat? It was beautiful. It's an American flag. That was pretty patriotic. Thank you for showing us that. I was so happy when you had your camera on. That was sweet. Thank you, Sherry, for that. And then Casey with a super chat saying, when he was sworn in, someone tried to kill Scotty B. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Holy, yeah. Okay, actually, let me look into the details of that. I need to know more details about that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. Thank you for the super chat. Let me make sure I store this somewhere to look into, because if people ask me about that, I need to know. Okay, thank you. All right, those are the super chats. Thank you, guys.
Right, so my topic is, since there were so many people who didn't know about the Blue Mosque of Hamburg, that it would be nice if you just told us, or at least told everybody what it was.
Oh, okay. So the Islamic Republic, you know, there's a lot of mosques all around the world that Islamic Republic uses as a center of operation for their spying and other activity. And the Blue Mosque in Germany, in Hamburg, Germany, was one of the main ones. So this is a mosque that was built in Germany way before the Islamic Republic. So it was, you know, but when the Islamic Republic came into power, so I think it was there since 1960s or something. But when the Islamic Republic came into power, they used it as, you know, it's interesting because mosques are usually taboo to, you know, touch or investigate because they're seen as religious centers and cultural centers. It's kind of like the Confucius centers by CCP. They also use them to infiltrate around the world. So if you touch them, they kind of treat it as if you are attacking people's cultures or religion. So that's why they are very effective as cover for operations. So this one in Germany, in Hamburg, Germany, it was one of the biggest centers of operation by the Islamic Republic. So it was like a command center for the regime in all of Europe, even though it was in Germany, but this was a center for their operations all across Europe. So, and intelligence operation. I mean, the intelligence agencies already knew about this. So it's kind of disappointing that it took them until 2024 to do something about it. I remember we were covering it live when it happened. Like, it was so beautiful. The German police was like marching into, like, there was so much police around it. I remember this. I think I was covering it with Susie. We loved watching it. Like, this was the first time we're like, oh my God, finally the Germans like doing something big against the Shia center. That was big. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the videos. You guys remember, like, if anybody following that, like watching like a huge police raid, like there was like an army surrounding the mosque getting in, and they got so much documents, so much intelligence from inside the mosque, basically revealing a lot of details about the spy network of the Islamic Republic all across Europe. So, guys, next time you see these mosques, by the way, remember that like people are like, oh, these are just like religious centers for prayer. They're not. They're not. Like, they are spy centers. There are command centers for foreign agents trying to infiltrate to invade like your country and infiltrate and influence your politics, right? So they use this like it's an I think Amu Jeff would know more about the types of activity. I think it's an espionage network that they conduct heavy surveillance on dissidents, for example, exiles, and people like me, for example. I'm pretty sure I have a file somewhere in Tehran. The IRGC probably has a file on me, and usually this is why I never go out. Right? It's because these mosques are basically spy networks, right? They enable, like, for example, if you see kidnappings, if you see assassinations, if you see operations that for example, if you see religious processions for Hussein and psychological warfare, information warfare, in universities and student clubs, trying to poison the minds of young people to bring them into the axis of resistance, anti-Israeli, pro-Palestinian movements. Usually it's these centers of these mosques or these center of operations that are basically the decision-making arm of the Islamic Republic in Europe or North America or Canada. They also have people there are also the people involved with strategies to bypass sanctions, with crypto stuff, sometimes paying for people who carry out operations, like paying for people in Europe or North America, for example, that are not Muslims but are just paid criminals. They just basically are the in between to find ways to fund them. Sometimes they are involved in acquiring military technology for the Islamic Republic, or handing over weapons, preparing or whatever equipments the bad actors like in the West need, that the Islamic Republic makes available to them to be able to carry out their operations. So that's the stuff. So I don't know, I think I went too long, but did that answer your question, or did I derail it?
Yeah. I just there was one thing that you didn't say, which was that the imam is appointed directly by Khamenei.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good point. This was the imam of this blue mosque was directly picked by Ali Khamenei, and that's how important this mosque was.
So first response is from Kat.
Yeah, so I don't know why my camera takes so long to okay. It's not only for the Islamic Republic. It's not a unique way of operating. Russia did that in Ukraine. They took all the Russian Orthodox churches. They replaced the priests or whoever. They replaced them with intelligence agents that were actively spying on Ukraine, which is why Ukraine kind of shut it off, and people are saying, oh, Ukraine is hurting Christians. But no, they did it with the Russian Orthodox churches. So, people will use whatever they can to get intelligence. It needs to be like understood, not to be naive about it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kat. That's why I also give the example of the cultural Confucius centers. Confucius, am I pronouncing right? By a lot of people are like, oh, this is just Confucianism. It's like cultural things. They are spy network command centers for the CCP. Like they're not cultural centers. They're arms of the CCP in your country.
So next is Noah.
So if they operated like Confucius centers, there's probably still a whole bunch of them left. I would assume before the war stuff, like there might be some in the UK, there might be some in Canada, there might even be some secretly in the United States. I mean, we don't know. It's probably best that most of us don't know, but it is scary to think that these places are out there.
Yeah.
So next, unless you want to do the 3 super chats, the next topic is Jeff, and he's going to share his screen.
Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So I'm with Jeff. I'm not gonna interrupt you this time. I'm gonna make sure that we have plenty of time for you to finish.
Sorry, I'm sorry you had tense. Don't worry about it, buddy. I love you.
Okay.
I love
you. I love you too. We got 3 super chats. First one is from Fleshy Interloper saying, watching Blue Jays, maybe today they will be good. You know what? I have never, well, I mean, I was when I was a kid. I haven't been a fan of any sports team for a very, very long time, but because of Fleshy, I'm a big fan of Blue Jays now, and I don't even know what sports this is. I have no idea, but I'm a fan of Blue Jays, whatever sport that they're playing. Oh, it's baseball? Okay. So, yeah, I'm a big fan now because of Fleshy. And thank you for the super chat. And Kevin with a super chat saying, for the confetti! And then thank you, Kevin, who got us to our goal. And Amir was also celebrating with confetti, added confetti to the already existing confetti. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to give permission. I'm going to pin Amu Jeff. And then I'm also going to allow screen sharing. And I'm going to close my mic. And I'm not going to turn it on until Amu Jeff says it's okay.
you. You're you're such a sweetheart. So this kind of deals with some of the topics that was brought up. It's actually kind of fortuitous, as well as why it is the administration needs to eliminate the Mullah regime. Right, that there really is no other way, given the nature of the Mullah regime and the environment that you're in. So just to overview, it kind of deals with 9 kind of slides. One is the overall operational environment. The other one's the regime's intent, threat, risk, vulnerability, the impact of Midnight Hammer and or operational Epic Fury, how the regime adapted, what are the potential lines of adaptation, so disruptive technologies, proxy, sanctuary, stockpile movement, and development, alternative WMD profile, which is why Sketch is rightly pissed off, where that leaves us. So world integrated, right? What is the broader environment, what we've learned? Global socioeconomic and technological trends. So transportation technology minimizes loss of strength gradient, stop and power of water. We use airplanes, ships, bullet trains instead of like sail and horse and buggy. Information technology is advanced, minimizes transaction costs regarding information. Economic integration. What does it mean? It means that the world becomes a complex adaptive system. It's fluid, never moving and changing. You see it as our discussions, the nature of our discussions for the past 6 months. Adversaries engage in things like competitive adaptation, which means actors pursue advantage by continuously analyzing, anticipating, and adapting faster than competitors. And what are the 4 takeaways? The 3-source threshold that an actor needs to meet to make significant impact in the world system is increasingly being lowered, for good or ill. So like the fact that we're using the internet and Armin has set up this space to sit there and act as a focal point to amplify Iranian resistance inside Iran, the anti-Mullah resistance, that's a very good thing. The fact that Chi-Coms leverage their understanding of machine learning and artificial intelligence to increasingly enable the regime remnants' ability to like engage in mass surveillance and of Iranian citizens is a bad thing. Impact no longer stays local. So you have something that happens in, say, Wuhan, didn't stay there. You have no warning time, so now you have planning to action time has been compressed, right? So you plan a course of action, you implement that course of action and reduce, you have no warning time. And the action to maximum impact time has been compressed, so you have very little response time. And what that means is that threats now have to be assessed inside a system where capability diffuses very rapidly. Hostile actors adapt continuously, as you're seeing what the Mueller regime remnants is doing. Geographic protection has been weakened. Oceans no longer protect you. And warning and response windows are like reduced to nothing. So the Mueller regime, what's the actor? You have their threat, like their strategic intent, very much an internally motivated actor. This is not the same as the Soviet Union. It's not the same as IRA 1.0, where you have this externally motivated actor, right? You can kind of analyze it, regardless of the legitimacy or illegitimacy of it. What it means is that, you know, you can at least, there's ways you can deter them. With internally motivated actors like this regime, there is no debate. You know, the outer behavior may change in response to stimuli. Their internally derived objective stays the same, right? That doesn't change. So what do you have? They engaged, when you have an inelastic actor in response to external stimuli, meaning like military pressure, oh, we're going to talk or whatever, what do? They do exactly what you and Ali called the Hormuz cycle. Remember what he called you? That was actually very well put. Well, they engage in activity, we respond. They then sit there and say, oh, well, we'll give you whatever you want. Please, President Trump, don't kill us. And so, like, while we're doing that, it buys time, resources, and resources for the regime remnants to reconstitute their capability till they get to a point where they want to carry out aggression again, and the cycle continues again and again. The strategic direction remains fixed. It doesn't matter if their behavior changes superficially. The idea that they would change their overall their desired strategic end state is very low. How do you, what kind of incentive do you provide to someone who first believes that a course of action determines if they're going to burn in hell forever or not, and moreover, they're so committed to it, they're willing to kill or die to realize it? There is nothing. It doesn't matter how much money you give them. It may change their behavior superficially. It doesn't change their desired end state. What's the desired end state? You can say it, right? Threat, risk, vulnerability. Threat, capability plus intent. Right? Very clear what the Mueller regime wants. Risk is threat plus probability within, they'll act on it a given amount of time. Because of that compression of time, that risk is very, very high because they can go from planning to execution very quickly. We'll get to how they do that. Vulnerability. How do you can you manage the impact of that? Well, you have Iron Dome and you have Israel's integrated air missile defense system, and sure, till you run out of interceptors, and well, we have, like, we'll push for direct energy, sure. And the enemy sits there and engages in things like competitive adaptation trades that just, takes a different approach towards it, which is why, again, Sketch rightly picked up on and warned about little tiny, independent labs creating new Wuhans. What's their overall, the purpose of their force projection? Coercion? Is it designed to change Israel's behavior? Is that what the Mueller regime wants? No. Is it to conquer Israel? They'll support other people's conquest of Israel, right? The Mueller regime will support, say, Hamas in the hopes that it destroys Israel as a state. Their ultimate goal is extermination. It's absolute warfare. When the objective is national destruction, vulnerability just can't be measured in lost territory. It has to be measured in the survival of the actor that has an inelastic pursuit of this end state. So this is the bad part of the good, the bad, and the ugly bomb and battle damage assessment after Midnight Hammer. You want to go through and belabor all of it. So, you know, it's true. Operation Midnight Hammer did indeed obtain the operational effects it was looking to do. It very much interrupted the traditional approach towards realizing a nuclear weapon. Tragically, there is any number, because the adversary is still alive, the Mullah regime, and it has, you know, it's inelastic in its pursuit of said capability, WMD capability, in broader pursuit or support of its goals to, say, eliminate the state of Israel, attack the United States. They didn't change their internal end state, their internally derived desired end state of realizing those goals. They just modified how they're going to do it. So what does that mean? So you have the next phase of the regime remnant, WMD reconstitution. This was done right after Midnight Hammer. Old model, very much similar to, say, how actors traditionally produced weapons of mass destruction. Really big facilities, acquire technology, weaponize it, come up with delivery systems. Sure. Donald put an end to that shit real quick. Post-strike adaptation. They went, wow, this model is no longer sustainable. They can pursue and have pursued any number of these three broader tranches of alternative approaches and or blendings of them. Disruptive technologies, right? SILIX, proxy-assisted acceleration, and turnkey solutions, including alternative means or WMD profiles. SILIX. So even if we get the dust, even though we bomb those underground facilities and they have to go, including pickaxe, those facilities are very much based around traditional approaches towards enriching uranium or fissional material. Think of this as very similar to like what the Ba'athist nuclear power plant in support of Saddam Hussein and Ba'athist's, nuclear weapons program was right before our Israeli allies gallantly took it out in '83. SILIX fits in a garage. It gives off no HF6 outgassing. It requires little electricity, very hard to spot. Stockpile laundering, right? This happened right after the Operation Midnight Hammer. We're like, okay, we have to find out. You're trying to move the stuff. You have 750 kilograms of higher medium rich uranium. We're tracking where you put it. Yeah. So they destroyed this. Where do they send it? Potentially send it to any number of patron states. Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, Chinese Communist Party, elements out of Pakistan, North Korea. What does that mean? It means that, maybe they return the material back to Iran for local weaponization. Well, we're kind of keeping good eye on that shit. So maybe they just sit there and weaponize it. They refine it and give it back to Iran, right? Or maybe they just maintain custody of it as a means to blackmail the United States, or they do a combination thereof. So the question becomes, well, we would be able to tell, because if you take the Iranian feedstock and then you refine it in, say, a foreign reactor, every foreign reactor kind of like as a resultant of its enrichment leaves a very specific radioactive footprint. It's almost like a fingerprint. You can detect where something has been or refined down to the reactor. It's true. So the bad guys go, they're going to introduce all kinds of other isotopes to kind of mask, dilute, or obfuscate that fingerprint. That sits there and maybe gives the adversary additional confidence that they could, say, provide that capability to a terrorist organization. And if they use it, they can hide their culpability. Let's say they don't do that. Where else do they go? Here's where they go. This is why these two here is exactly why Sketch was right to be concerned. Let's say they go, you know what? They're not going to use like nuclear weapons. They're going to go all in on advanced biological weaponry, synthetic biological weapons, synthetic bioweapons that leverages things like mirrored life, which very much is Mirrored life and synthetic bioweapons is to biological weapons what, say, cobalt jacketed bombs are to nuclear weapons. Very deadly, tragically very easy to do. Very, very hard to spot. Radiological dispersion, cobalt 60. Very easy to do. So where does that leave us? That leaves us right here. Before Midnight Hammer, we had this very visible program. Israeli intelligence kept good eyes on it. It got to a point where Israel said, yep, not going to die for people's convenience. Got to make our best shot. They did that. Couldn't hold everything at risk because Israel, as good as their force is, they only have strike aircraft, and things like Fordow was buried very deep under the ground. President Trump did what he did to short circuit the chain of escalation, in part to save millions of Iranians, not because Israel was wrong to hold those underground facilities at risk unconventionally, rather to give Israel an additional option. So what happened? The Mullah regime didn't die, and they're not going to give up their internal end state, their internally derived desired end state of destruction of Israel. So they adapted, right? The target changes, the timeline contracts. Instead of having a traditional model, now instead of it takes years of building your traditional reactors, now you have post-strike model, months, weeks, maybe even days, if it's proxy assisted scenarios. The battle space expanded. You've seen that now in the current conflict. Yes? They tried to strike, what is it? Diego Garcia. Mullah regime's activating its terrorist proxies. Attribution fractures, right, with all the different things they're doing. So what does it mean? It means Midnight Hammer and Operation Epic Fury destroyed critical capability and disrupted the immediate escalation pathway. That's true. President Trump did the best, it's the best strike ever. That's true. That said, it only bought time to ensure that given the inelasticity of the Mullah regime's goal, and the fact that it exists in an environment that increasingly positively selects for proliferation, the only real solution to ending the risk of the Mullah regime getting nuclear weapons or other alternative WMDs is the regime has to die. Period. That's why the late Senator Lindsey Graham pushed for what he did. That's why Secretary of State Senator Rubio pushes what he does. It's why I push what I do, Mark Levin sketch. It's why we all say the things we do. It's not from bloodlust. It's not that it doesn't come without risk. The simple fact is that is ultimately the choice that you have to make if that's what you want to achieve, which is a regime that does not get a WMD. There's a reason Sid Rosenberg said what he said today on Fox and Friends. He was absolutely right. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Well, Nets put a 2 on.
So do you think that the regime's strategic inelasticity is a weakness for the regime?
Do I think? I'm sorry. Say that again. I didn't catch the first part.
One of your main points was that the regime is strategically inelastic, right? That the regime's objectives are fixed. And we had a conversation slightly earlier about whether having fixed objectives is a weakness in the context of the US. Should the US have fixed objectives or not? So I'm asking you about Iran. Is Iran having fixed objectives a weakness for Iran?
So yeah, that's I see where you're going with it. So like the United States having a readily, discernible from the outside desired end state allows your adversaries or our adversaries to then game out what they're going to do. So is that like a vulnerability for the Mullah regime? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if you're a rational actor and believe that the threat exists, and it does, then that makes your course of action and your desired end state very clear. They have to go. Like that's it, right? That's it. As far as our weakest center of gravity is our national will. That's why this show is so important. If that was not true, this show, one of the main lines of one of the main points that underwrite the significance of Armin's effort, and Goldie and Tusi and everybody in this room, wouldn't exist, right? We would know. It's like in Second World War. We know Nazi Germany is the enemy. And that's not taking into account the role that Soviet backing socialists played prior to the Nazi regime violating the Molotov-Ribbentrop Act. Before that, the pro-Soviet socialists in America actually protested us to not fight Nazi Germany. So, I mean, today that's a serious issue, right? That's the national will issue. So there's that. As far as does it make them vulnerable? The vulnerability isn't the same level because they're not the same actor and they're not like us. The simple fact, the very reason why they have to go also gives them, in many ways, a very perverse tactical advantage. Same with Islamic fundamentalist terrorists. How do you deter someone who doesn't care if they live or die in pursuit of a goal? You can't. There is no deterrence. No real one. No deterrence defined as they change their desired end state. They may modify their behavior superficially while still pursuing the strategic end state. Right? They have to go. That makes sense?
So we have Monkey and Sherry and Jim to respond, and just to keep you good, we have 8 minutes, and there were 2 other topics. So,
All right. Is the focus like intended goal? Okay, a nuclear bomb. Is that goal? Was the goal of getting a nuke bad or good for Iran? Yeah, it's good as publicity. It's bad as a goal. Like if they wanted to have 1,000 Wuhans, they would have had them by now, and they could have just said, "Hey, look at what we did to this subject here, subject AB 130. Look at how it's eating him alive. Yeah, we have a stockpile of this, and they're aimed at every country in the Persian Gulf. And if we don't pay us the toll, we're gonna turn you into zombies." But they wanted nuclear, and they went down that path, and they're stuck there. So it was a deterrent to them. Is it a problem for us? Yeah, because right now, if our only goal is getting they can't have a nuclear weapon. If we stop at that and they open the Gulf and do nothing nuclear, let us inspect. Yeah, it is a problem for us because we focus so much on that goal, we can't expand on it. I mean, we could do whatever we want, but like as a central point, that's bad.
next is Jim.
All right, there, camera finally working. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I understand Kat's frustration from before, and I'm honestly feeling it very much the same. I really don't see the Islamic Republic going down without a fight and without a, in my opinion, suicidal fight for them. I really do think they're going to die before they ever relinquish power over Tehran and the Iranian people. So with that being in mind, we were talking about arming the Iranian people before. I'm curious about another angle that could hurt the Islamic Republic big time. We haven't talked about from a long time. I haven't heard any updates on. I'm not sure how many of the regular army and police will rise up against the Islamic Republic for His Highness Pahlavi. I don't know if there's any updates on the topic at all.
There was some new videos regarding somebody from Artesh declaring that he support for the American military operations. Princess of Pahlavi also confirmed one more time that there are many people from the regime that communicate with him and are have been trying to defect for years, but we are not getting any. I don't know if this is this what you're asking? Because we're not getting any more details regarding that, and I don't think they would share that with us. I do think it's important that we continue talking about how anything that happened, any form of organizing defection and armed resistance against the Islamic Republic has to be done through Prince Reza Pahlavi and his team. That is the one thing that we need to continue communicating. But I don't think there's going to be any details shared with us until actually we see it happening, right? Because if there's any detailed if there is anything happening, any announcement of that will basically get the Islamic Republic extra active into figuring out what's happening and try to crush it before it gets anywhere.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's something that I understand why this is all being kept in secret, because as with your point, Armin, if the Islamic Republic knew the extent of it, knew the real capabilities, they would crush that in a second. But I really believe that they're not only going to be the dark horse in this revolution, but they're going to be the queen piece in this chess game of make or break. Will this succeed or will this fail? Is how many from the regular police to regular military, as well as armed Iranian revolutionaries fighting the Islamic Republic. I really think that's going to be what this revolution comes down to. But tragically, is for all of us looking on the outside in, I don't think there really is going to be a way for us to know how strong and how capable they are until the moment is right. And that's what's been killing me, is just the waiting, the anticipation, and the mystery of what is going to happen, what could happen. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I really appreciate the fact that you guys, I always still get, after all of this time, seeing, I'm not used to this, for after the Line and Sun Revolution, seeing all of you guys not being Iranian and being so invested in seeing us win this. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I just want to say, still, every time I see you guys so invested in this, it just seems so different now. Like, we've been doing this for so long, and I just don't know how to express how grateful we are that you guys see us and you are so invested in seeing us win this. It wasn't like this before, and it's just, I just say thank you. Okay.
So you have a super chat?
Yes. Fleshy Interloper with a super chat saying they have to go. 100% agree. 100% I agree. This is how Amu Jeff usually finishes off some of his statements, which I like. Like the mullah regime has to go. Amu Jeff says that all the time. Yes, and yeah, it's good. This is so obvious to me, but sometimes I forget that it needs to be repeated. Because so many people do not assume that. But so sometimes I was like, sometimes when Amu Jeff kept on saying that, I was like, yeah, of course they have to go. Like, why is he saying that? But now we're like, no, it has to be repeated. I was like, Amu Jeff is right. It has to be repeated. So many people need to be reminded that, like, this is the only option. So I have a new appreciation for how why Amu Jeff and now Fleshy Interloper are saying that sometimes things that are obvious to you, they need to be repeated for the sake of other people, which makes sense. So, for example, another thing Amu Jeff constantly said, and I found it to be obvious, is like, oh, the Iranian people and the regime are not the same. And I'm like, sometimes when people say that, I'm like, duh. But now, like, no, just because it's duh for us, it doesn't mean it's the same for other people. This needs to be repeated. It needs to be said over and over and over again. Daniel, your mic is open. Okay, let me close your mic. Let me tell you. Oh, Oh, I just did the opposite thing. I pinned him. What did I do? Anyways, how do I leave full screen? Okay, there we go. We got another super chat by Barmutzel. Or I mean, 20. No, it's not a super chat. It's a 27-month membership celebration. Holy crap, Barmutzel, you have been here with us for 27 months, saying, Armin, you deserve to win this for your people. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. 27 months you have been here with us. Love you, man. Thank you for being here with us. Appreciate that. Okay. So, I need to go. Sorry, Kat. I wanted to hear what you had to say. I'm so sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm gonna go. Let me stop the recording. And guys, in half an hour, I'm gonna go live with Ali. And apparently, there's a lot of activity. The Houthis are at it again, so he's probably gonna update us on that and a lot of other things. So 30 minutes from now, we're going to go live. So make sure you are subscribed and you hit the bell notification. And I'll see you guys in half an hour. And people in the group call, I'll see you guys same time tomorrow. Love you guys. And until next time, I'm Israel Chai, Slava Ukrainie, Cuba Libre, Long live America, Javicha, Payande, Iran. Mwah.